Hi, this tutorial will try to explain a bit about variables and how to use them in C++. A variable is a storage place for either text or a number. And in C++, we use variables to store information to use it later. So we will try to make a small program to explain a bit about the variables. So we will, in Visual Studio, go to Visual C++ and Win32 program and write a variable program for name and use the Win32 console application. Just click Finish here. And here is our blank program. I have already created a bit of this program. We will start by including the iostream and string, and then using namespace std to make C++ work. And we will make a pause at the end of the program. System pause. So our program, if we run it now, it will just pop up and say press a button to continue. And here it is. So we will learn a bit about the variables. If you think of a variable as a shopping basket where you can put items and then later take them out, or maybe a bag where you put your clothes and then later you can take them out. So this is the same as variables. There are 8 types of different variables, and we use them in all programming languages. So for instance, I really like PHP and Java and C# and C programming, and we find them everywhere. So we will start by going into the Bool variable data type. Bool. So Bool can either be true or false. So if to write a Bool variable, just write Bool and then your variable name, and so if I have a Bool program variable named program end, so the program could either end or not end. So to attach true or false, I will have to write program end, Bool program end, and then true, or I can write false. So this is a Bool variable. So I have an example here. Bool is even or Bool is odd. So we can then write out the example with the cout. So a Bool example. To write it onto the screen, we just write is even, and here we can write whatever we want. We can write it like this even, is odd, and this is a variable pointing back to this variable. So here I'm writing the value of the variable Bool name is even. So if I run this, you will see the Bool example is even, is odd, is even 0, is odd 1. 0 meaning false, odd meaning true, 1 meaning true. Bool are really important later in programming when we are going to use if and else statements. Next is the char, and the char is a bit strange because it only has a single character in it. So a char can be one character from A to Z. So here in my example, I have two persons and their gender. So first person gender, I have put that it's M for male, and second person gender I put F for female. And as you can see, the variables, they're created just as the bool variables, but I have char first and then a variable name and then the contents of the variable. So we can try to write this out to the screen. For example, and we write first person gender and the gender name, and the second person gender and the gender name. This is how it is: M and then S. So we have bool and we have char, and we have even more. We have the int. An int is integer. It can store any number. So any number from 1 to whatever you can think of. And it cannot store the decimals, but only integer numbers. So here I have an example of calculating the area of a square with the width 20 and the height 10. And as you can see, I write first integer int and then the width being the variable name, and then attach a value to width, and then height and 10, and then I can write that the area, the int area, is the same as width times height. So in this case it will be 200. So when I write this to the screen, it will say first that the width is 20, then the height is 10, then the area is 200. And now you can see that the variables are very important because we can use them to calculate. So width 20, height 10, and area 200. The int variable does not take decimals, so if I write 20.5 and then try to save it and then run the program, we say that it's still 20 and the area is 200. Now we have the float example, and float is almost the same as int, but it takes decimals. So here I have a box, and I define the box as length, width and height, and then I can use mathematics to calculate the base and the volume of the box. So as previously, if you first write float and then the variable name and then attach a value, and here we use the length and the width of the box and multiply them together to get the value, and down here you take the base and multiply it with the height to get the volume of a box. So we can try to write this example out to the screen. Float example: length 10.3, width 5.2, height 8.4. So this we have entered into the program. and you can see that it calculated the base being the length multiplied by width, and the volume being the base multiplied by height. And the precision is very good. You see we have 3 decimal. And next example is double, and you might think that that float is precise enough, but it is not. So for really important calculations, we can use the double. And here I have a double named pi, and it's a decimal number. And I have the double radius of a circle, and then I want to find the circumference, and it's pi times radius times radius, so pi times radius squared. So for this I could have used double, but I wanted to just show an example with no, I could have used the float, but I wanted to show an example using the double. So by running this, we can see that the radius is 23.14 as entered, and the circumference is 1682.2. And an important variable that we use a lot is the string. And first I just want to show you at the top, we always include the string here. This is to make the string work. So a string is a text, and here I have a string named title, and I attach a text to it, and the artist, attach a text to it, and then I can write out the value of the string and the value of the next string. The first one being the title, and then the artist. So by writing out this program, I will get the string example song, and then now title, and then artist. So here I can you can see that the title should be a problem here, and the artist should be Ariana Grande. So by changing them, you see I have problem and then artist. So string is very important, and this is used for everything with text. String can even contain numbers, so I can have the value of pi here if I want to, but it's very difficult to use it for calculations. So for calculations, use double or the float variable. You can see here this writes out 3.40. Next is and last is the special case. It's the Char T. So I want to show you a bit problem with string, and the problem you will only see it when you have different nationalities, or will use like special symbols. So the char, as earlier mentioned, char only takes one character, and we earlier had char saying male or female. So if we have a char, v char t saying m and f, it will convert it to a number, and here it's 109 and 102. So this is important if you're going to write letters that are not in the English alphabet, like O or A or Ö, for example. So don't worry if you are only writing English program, then VHRT is not very important, but if you are writing programs that requires special characters, then of course you need to look into VHRT. So this is all the variables that we are using in programming, and now you know them in C++, so now you know them in all programming languages because they're all the same. We use them everywhere, including even the MySQL server. We can just look at a table just to show that that in MySQL it also uses the same type of data variables. So here I have a table in MySQL, and I can go to the structure of the table and show you that here is char, but it's variable char, and it's int, so but a tiny int. So we have like expanded the C++ into a more suitable language, but it's in the end it's int and chars. So now you know C++ variables. We can go next to our next tutorial, that it's cin, and that's reading text from the user.